Hey, you clicked on my video. Appreciate it. Now be sure to like the video and subscribe to the page. Long enough to cover the subject and short enough to keep it interesting. Welcome to Out Up My League. I'm Nick Diaz. We are now officially in the beginning of talking season for football. God help us all. And one prevailing theme for LSU football is they don't know. They don't know. Not just national people who don't cover the team on a regular basis, but even people locally have felt, myself among them, I can't get a read on this LSU team. I'm just not really sure. And for good reasons. There's a whole new coaching staff except one, the offensive line coach, Brad Davis. There's a bunch of new transfers who are going to have to step up and play. And you have no starting QB that has been named. And the three that are competing are all very talented, but all very, very different from one another. So we will play patty cake around with our projections at the moment. Las Vegas, however, cannot. Most Vegas projections currently have LSU's over-under win total at 7.5. That's to be expected. Now, I saw one projection say 6 wins over-under. You had one website that had LSU as the third best team in the SEC West, and then I saw another website that had LSU as the 5th best team in the SEC West. It's all over the place. Matter of fact, most teams in the SEC besides Alabama and Georgia are kind of all over the place. But FanDuel did give out the toughest schedule in the SEC based on their opponent's win-loss projection record for every Power 5 team they play. So they basically took every SEC team's opponents, Power 5 opponents, took their over-under win totals, added them up, and whoever had the highest number has the toughest schedule. So the rankings are as follows. The toughest schedule in the SEC against Power 5 opponents is Auburn. They have the toughest schedule. Vanderbilt has the second toughest schedule. Florida has number 3. LSU, number 4. And it rounds out with Mississippi State at 5, Texas A&M at 6, South Carolina at 7. Hey, South Carolina's not number 1 anymore. Tennessee at 8, Georgia at 9, Alabama 10, Ole Miss 11, Kentucky 12, Arkansas 13, and Missouri 14 has the easiest schedule in the SEC based on win-loss projections in the SEC. Now, LSU has the 4th toughest Power 5 schedule in the SEC according to Vegas. But that's just based on Vegas projected preseason win totals. But to me, with a physical sport like football, it's not so much who you play, it's when you play them and the breaks that you get in between. So, I know it's only May 10th, but let's just look at the schedule to see the toughest stretches for LSU. Because to me, that's going to determine their win-loss record. So they start with Florida State in New Orleans. I think LSU should win that game, all right? I think Florida State's about to fire their head coach. They're an absolute mess. They, for this, I think, 4th straight year, have a losing record. That LSU should win that game. Now, it's not a gimme, but LSU should win that game. Then they go home and play Southern, win. Then they play Mississippi State at home. Now, this will be tricky, but LSU's going to be coming off an easy victory against Southern. And Mississippi State has an advantage over LSU. LSU, currently, we have to say, has a weakness at cornerback. Now, that could change. Guys could step up. Transfers could be better than we thought. They could get another transfer in the transfer portal. Who knows? But as of right now, that's sort of a matchup advantage for Mississippi State because of their air raid offense, and they run so many plays. But I think coming off of the Southern game, LSU should be favored in that game. And I think they are favored in that game, especially at home. Then you have another gimme against New Mexico State at home. Another break when you go on the road to Auburn. Auburn is another team that is a mess. They had a lot of people transfer out of their program. Their quarterback situation is worse than it was last year under Bo Nix. LSU should have won that game. Honestly, I know it's tough to win at Jordan-Hare, but I'll take LSU considering the fact that by that point, LSU should be 4-0. They'll have some confidence. They'll get their legs under them with a new quarterback, whoever that may be, or if it's a 2-quarterback system. I don't know. I think with Auburn's QB battles, they're horrible. I'll take LSU coming off of an easy win at home against New Mexico. So that's 5-0 early projection. Then you have at home against Tennessee. Now, I actually think LSU should be more afraid of Tennessee than most teams on their schedule besides Alabama or A&M. Because Tennessee, I think they're for real. I think Josh Heupel's doing a great job. But the thing is about Tennessee is that you're coming off of a big road victory or big road just game, whether you win or lose, at Auburn. You'll be banged up a little bit. You may have some injuries. Hopefully it's not in the secondary or in the cornerback position because Tennessee, they run an up-tempo offense. And if they get enough plays in, 80, 90-plus plays in that game, LSU's in trouble in their secondary. So that's the one you really have to look out for if you're LSU. I still think LSU wins the battle on the line of scrimmage, but that's the really sort of trap game for LSU is Tennessee. Florida, you go on the road. I don't really know what to make of Florida. That's when I really have just no idea. I think they're void of talent. I think the cupboard was left bare. I think they're a talented team, and you have to play them at Gainesville, which is really, really tough. And it's back-to-back-to-back SEC games. But because of just the lack of talent, the lack of depth, the fact that Dan Mullen just was not a great recruiter, and their recruiting class and their transfer portal class was just not good to begin with, Florida's going to be a tough out, but I think LSU should be favored in them. I like that game more than I like them winning the Tennessee game. Then you have home against Ole Miss. People are really high on Ole Miss, and that's probably because they have the 11th toughest schedule out of 14 in the SEC. So top 4 easiest schedule in the SEC. But they're replacing damn near everybody. Now they have the second most talented transfers coming in the transfer portal. Number 2 transfer portal class behind only USC, who the only reason why they're number 1 is because they have Caleb Williams. But it's still an unknown. I would argue Ole Miss has more unknowns than LSU does. But again, you're at the end of October, you're banged up. You've gone through a huge stretch of SEC games on the road and at home. I don't know. That's a tough one to call. I think that's another sort of swing game for LSU. But again, it's also, I think, a worse matchup for LSU, similar to Tennessee, because Kiffin likes to go up-tempo, and he's going to challenge that secondary, assuming it's as weak as we think it is. Then you have that week off. Then you have home against Alabama. I'm not picking them to beat Alabama. Then you go on the road to Arkansas. LSU is a more talented team than Arkansas. LSU was a more talented team than Arkansas last year. They should have won. I'm picking them to beat Arkansas in a revenge game. Then they have a break. UAB at home, senior night, a gimme game. Then you finish on the road at Texas A&M. I'm a little bit more bullish on Jimbo Fisher than some of y'all seem to be. But I will tell you that they will be better at quarterback this year. And I think Max Johnson's going to win the job. Even if he doesn't, then that means that our other quarterback really won the job and is really good. So because of that, if A&M had better quarterback play, they beat LSU last year. And I think it's going to be Max Johnson. And as of right now, I just think depth-wise, A&M's got more because LSU's in a transition year. So I'll pick LSU to, as of right now, lose that game. But LSU can very easily win that game because they should have won every game that they've played A&M so far in the SEC. So that's sort of my projection. I say Tennessee, Ole Miss is your swing games. You lose to Bama, and I'm currently picking them to lose to A&M. So I say they go above 7-5 as of right now. At least 8-4 at the worst. Maybe they'll steal one and go 9-3. Thanks for listening to Out of My League. If you like what you heard, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Or follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok in the description link below.